Hi everyone. So I'm Uchim Warren. I'm the co-founder and also the chief technical officer at OneSome AI. So what we do at OneSome is we build AI for lawyers. We are currently in Kenya, but then recently we have launched in East Africa, so Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda. We are in South Sudan, Botswana, and also next week I think we are launching in Zambia. So right now I'm just going to speak to you about building solutions and then scaling them across Africa and how easy or difficult it is because it has taken us time, it has taken us resources, and yeah, I think I'll be happy to share that with you.
Anyway, interesting. Just where the microphone has dropped, you're working with guys who are not anywhere engaged into tech. You're building solutions for people in legal fields. Nobody who knows about what HTML is, or the Pythons and etc. And you're designing applications that are pleasing to them, meaning they find the applications relatable. How do you do that?
Interesting. So first, I think it has been easy for me because I started working. My first job was in a law firm, and that's how I've worked ever since. So I understand how lawyers work. So it's easy relating to them because I understand and I live with them. And also the firm that sponsors us, or our anchor firm, uses the solution that we build. So whatever we build internally, then we scale out to our clients, and that's why it is easier. And we usually, instead of just thinking of it from tech, we think from the lawyer, because we have the lawyers there. Obviously we are developing tech solutions, but we have the lawyers. So we ask them, what are you doing currently that we can automate? And then based on how they're doing it manually, then we just automate that. We don't come up with solutions from maybe reading or something. We look at what they're doing currently and then we automate it in-house. They use it, they test it. Once it's good enough, we scale it out to the general public. Yeah.
Interesting. So from what he has said, what is human-centered design? These guys don't know about these things, but as a matter of fact, somebody's listening to this for the first time. What is human-centered design?
Human-centered design is basically, as the term sounds, it's designing with a human perspective in the center of the whole process. I had some illustration also that would help you see, because I'm also making this human-centered so that I just don't talk about it and you can't see. So, human-centered design, I'm sure you've heard of other concepts. Design thinking. Who has heard of design thinking? You've heard of, there's human-centered design, what we are discussing today, and we have user-centered design. So user-centered design, this is a good example of empathy. So these guys were working on a ketchup product, and they would observe their users. You see, user interfaces is not only in digital spaces. Everything you use is an interface. The chair you're sitting on is an interface, and it has to be used. Anything that has to be used by someone is an interface. So they observed when people are in the restaurants, they are always hitting the ketchup bottle, trying to get the last drop out because the bottle is facing upwards, right? And then someone just thought of it. Why don't we tilt the bottle upside down? Because they did check the frustrations of the user, of course, and they realized everybody is just hitting the bottle, trying to get the ketchup out. But why don't we design a bottle that is upside down? That's empathy. You've placed yourself in the context of that person in the restaurant, having the, what do you use ketchup on? Chips, rice, everything. Some people just put it in everything, but it's okay. That's one of the concepts that comes out in human-centered design. And how does it relate to design thinking? So design thinking is the methodologies that we use to apply the philosophy of HCD. You see, this is theory, but once you want to apply the concept, there are some methodologies, and that's where design thinking comes in. So next concept, HCD. It's only 4 concepts. Once you get those 4 concepts, don't bother about the big jargon on HCD. Is focus on people and context. M-Pesa. Who am I dealing with? People with feature phones, no internet, they want to transact small amounts. So you're focusing on the people. and the context of which they are coming out from. So this is an example that really shows that aspect of HCD. Next, solving the right problem. Of course, you can see that. Sometimes you want to get from point A to point B. Yes, there is Uber, but sometimes if you are from Nairobi, a lot of congestion, you want to rush to that meeting, it's faster for you to jump on the Uber boda. So these guys just observe the problem we are facing as Kenyans, bring it. We have Uber boda. Solving the right problem. Then next, systems thinking. Nothing exists alone. We exist in environments and systems. And we wonder, how does that apply building apps? So someone was shopping in a supermarket, they have a cart. What do? Take stuff and put in the cart. How do e-commerce platforms work? Add to cart. In fact, they will just give us a list and check boxes. Select unga, stuff, purchase. Will it work? Yes, it will. But is it designed to your own context? Nope. Systems thinking. I get an email, oh, your next event is tomorrow. It's linked to my calendar in Google Calendar. Where is it? Somewhere. It's linked to maps. And then, of course, something is going to be shared, minutes or stuff. It's linked to docs. And then someone is going to present. It's linked to slides. Do you get the point? Environment. Systems thinking. So when we want to design something that is human-centered, we need to look at the entire system. Final concept from systems thinking, iterative process, iteration. So HCD, there's 3 I's. In the morning we mentioned the 3 C's, right? And you're wondering, so how do we apply, the 5 C's, sorry. We're wondering, how do we apply the 5 C's? So we have like some rubrics that you can also follow, maybe, but iterative process, you have to iterate. First, you have to get inspired. People are eating in restaurants, chips, they're hitting the bottles, the owner of the restaurant who purchased the ketchup doesn't get the last bit used, so they have to lose that part of the bottle. So I'm inspired by what I just observed. Then I have to ideate from my observation. So I have to come up with an idea. And then ideas are only ideas if you don't implement them, right? Implement. So those are the 3 I's. And through implementation, no one is perfect. So you have to iterate. So this is an example of a plane. Of course, you see them flying up above for the army and stuff. But it started from there. Iteration. Repetitive process until you get the final solution. I think once you know that, the rest is just a build-up of that. So maybe we'll share later. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the presentation. Bwana kiongozi. Go on. So what of the same human-centered design now that these guys are more in tech part, you are now like a bridge between now and now technical side.
Yeah, thank you very much. For me, I think I look at it from a perspective where when you bring a new solution to our community, you have to understand that community first of all. You have to understand the people, where they come from, their behaviors, their culture. All this goes back to how can you engage in that area. Just to give you an example, we were doing a project in Kakuma, in the refugee setup and the host setup, and we are basically training these people for jobs. But we realized there's a certain culture there. So these people come to trainings for transport reimbursement. If there's lunch, they'll come for lunch. If there's a certificate, they want that certificate. And once that training is done, they don't care what happens after, they move on to another training. So when we first went there training without understanding some of these cultural barriers, and also a bit of water security and the life just environment, we had a very difficult time implementing the project. Because when you're telling this person, you've trained them, now we are transitioning to jobs. Then they're telling you, as long as I get a certificate, I'm okay. So you're wondering, okay, how do we go about that? So going back to the concept of design thinking, you notice that some of this concept, even being able to go back to the community, because remember, design thinking is all centered around the people you're creating that solution for. I know most organizations, that's where we go wrong, where we create a solution knowing this is what the people want. We assume, we sit in boardrooms, we make assumptions, and we take it there, and then your adoption is very low. Then you start wondering, hey, 3 users, where could the problem be? So, as I've mentioned, go down. Even I know there's a lot of people here who are making a lot of solutions. How many people here have some solutions they're making? Yeah. How many so far have interacted with the end user? I can say about half or a quarter of the hands. Yeah, so as you're making that solution, make sure you have a very close relationship with the end user, so that every phase you're taking, there's someone testing it on the other side, and then they're telling you, oh, this can't work, this is very complicated, normally this is how we do about it, and you'll be able to avoid one of the snares there. I can give an example on that side. I know some of us know trigger foods, and trigger foods, basically you're coming to the mama mboga and the rest, but you're not understanding how their chain originally worked, and you're not involving some of the most important people who are middlemen, and you end up getting a very big fight because you didn't involve everyone in that value chain. So that's the second thing. Also, once you understand the people, understand the value chain that already exists, or if there's none, how can that value chain be created to make sure every stakeholder within that scope is taken care of. And once you're able to take care of that, you find yourself that you won't end up getting battles that you cannot see, the invisible battles that are happening in the background, and you're trying to bring a very beautiful solution, but people are fighting it. And then I think the other thing that I also talk about is also in terms of complexity of the solution that you are creating. You need to understand, and I like the example that Joe has given. You can imagine if Safaricom created M-Pesa and it only worked with internet. I think the adoption today would be, very, very low. But once you understand that most of the population, mostly when Safaricom was launching the M-Pesa, many people are using feature phones. So immediately you'll have locked away 3/4 of your market. So also just trying to understand how can I be able to be very convenient to these people who are the end users and come in a very simple way that they can be able to adopt these solutions that we're creating. So those are some of the points that I'll share. Thank you very much.
Interesting. I'll also ask a question from this side, because they're talking about some interesting concepts. And what common thing have you found across the statement so far? Anybody who can give me something common across what they've said, all of them? Yes.
Research.
One. Putting the user at the forefront. Culture. Interesting. So you've realized the trend is just the same. Users' needs. Now that takes me to a very interesting question. Can I narrate some story? Or should I just do the question first? Anyway, we are being told that we need to get what you are building from the users. Then there's somebody who once said, customers don't know what they want. Explain it to them. Customers don't know what they want. Or I give my story first.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a time when I was learning sales, I've always given the story. The first thing I did was a very difficult work in sales, by the way. It was selling bread. Umejua kuuza mkate inaitwa aina hadi jina. And you have to take it to shops that are buying Superloaf and United. Then you have a bread with no brand and all those things. So I worked in that kind of a setup when I was learning sales. But now there came a time when they were doing cakes, right? And they did the plain cakes for quite some time. And then kidogo, watu wakaanza kuuliza, we need chocolate cakes. Wapo wata chocolate? Yeah, we need chocolate cakes. Tukasema hii demand ya chocolate, it is very high. And these are our users. We have to build things centered around our what? Around our users. Bulanda. Tricky sana. Tricky sana. So what did we do? We took the survey for like 3 months. The increased demand for chocolate cakes is growing higher. The plain cakes, okay, fairly they're still buying, but they always like, hey bro, what is chocolate cake? Tunataka tuwapige kelele na utulete. So we did something called A/B testing. So we split the products. I know you know what to call, but just allow me to relate with the cakes. So we did some A/B testing, which means we split the cakes into two, the quantity. We have half of it, which was chocolate, and half of it, which was plain. After 6 months of doing that, the plain cakes was still selling at over 70% than the chocolate cakes. Yes, it was the users who were demanding to us. So how can we, as we create the user-centered kind of product, how do we know what the users really want?
I guess there's only one way to find out. Just take it to the users and then get the numbers. And then again, also, I may like something, but then I'm not willing to pay for it, right? So the real test is usually, can somebody put a dollar amount to whatever they want? Regardless of how they tell you, this is good, it may be a good feature, I'd like it, but then just ask them, how much are they willing to pay? That's why you find, right now everybody else is using AI, right? But how many people are paying for the subscription? Because maybe just the free tier works fine. Yeah? So the only way you know somebody wants something, let them put a credit card and let them pay for it. That's the only way. Okay, at least according to me.
Interesting. Kingozi.
Okay, according to me, there is, I think, getting back to the slides, there is a slide that had that information in it, that sometimes you have to get closer or to the context of where the user is to know what they want. And sometimes the users don't know what they want until you give it to them. And you can only give it to them when you're close enough. Let's read that and see what that says. Yeah, get closer. It's a quote. Get closer than ever to your customers, so close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. That's Steve Jobs. So I think that's one of the ways they would answer that. Yeah.
Interesting. So, is it true from a business standpoint that now I might want something, but I don't need it?
Yeah, that is very true. You might want something on it.
How do you go about it now that, for example, we find ourselves developing a product, and most thing what happens is we think we know the problem better than anybody else. As a matter of fact, most of us were so much acclimatized to our products, then we are so much attached to the thought of this solution is the one I have to build. How do I detach myself from that to make sure that I build a product worth what the customer needs and not necessarily want?
Yeah, so for me, I think this good John brought up Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is one of the people who have studied or looked at quite some time. I know originally when Steve Jobs was starting off, he was very aggressive on the point that customers don't know what they want. We will tell the customers what they want, and we will make, and they will use what we make. But over the years, what you initially saw is Steve Jobs later became one of the first people to make the Apple Auditorium. And basically the number one function of the Apple Auditorium is whenever they're launching a new product, customers would come. And they would feel the whole relation with customers, and people would interact with the product, and they would get a lot of good feedback. And from that feedback is how Apple has gone on becoming better and better. And because they were one of the first to implement that structure of feedback, that is why you can always see, even from the beginning, they always used to make very good features for their customers. And what happens is, even us as the ones making the product, we need to detach ourselves from that product In this journey, we usually call this product is like your baby. Kama umekuwa mzazi. And when you're a parent and someone even wants to hold your baby, it becomes a very hard thing for you to do, or even let someone stay with them for a day. Parents in the house?
Yeah.
Parents in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to now creating the product, in this journey of, you remember all the nights you spent coding and all that. So I guess the first of all is just to let your customer in, no matter how attached you are to your product. And then also in the space, it's something that we really talk about a lot. For us, we have we call it ICE. So innovate, what happens after you innovate? The second thing is to collaborate. So once you opened your door to customers and you're getting all this feedback and you're getting all this, maybe demand is now starting to come, and you now start collaborating with more people. That is where we are tested, even as developers. I know the very good developers wanataka kujifungia mahali kwa nyumba, you're in the corner, you're on night shift, ndio mtu asikupigie, asubuhi unalala, all that. But the moment you now open your doors to collaboration, you now open your doors to new ideas, better solutions, better engineers. I know one of the reasons why the US for a very long time has been the leading country in tech is because they opened their door to all these different nationalities, and people are coming with very different skills from very different parts of the country with very different views on how this solution can be implemented. So you're able to get very many different kinds of views from both the developer, the customer, the leadership to this particular product. And then now, once you've been able to collaborate with these people, you'll be able to create an amazing product and empower the people you're targeting.
I think I'll just add on what you said. When you talk of customers, most people think of B2C, so your customer is a fellow, just somebody else. But then there are also business-to-business models where you're selling to businesses, right? And at that point, the business is your customer. And these two functions buy things differently, right? Consumers reason, most of the time it's usually emotion. So I'll buy things on emotion, I like this thing, or my friend has it, then I'll buy it. Businesses do things differently, and you have to understand that. For consumers, when you talk of consumers, the easiest way to avoid failure when designing or developing a consumer product is for you first to be a user of that product. So if I have a problem with maybe tying my shoelaces, right? And it is something which is so painful to me that if I found a solution to it, I'll pay for it, right? And then I find a solution that helps me tie my laces well. Then I just need to find other people first who are also having problems tying their laces. So I don't have to talk to everybody. And again, the problem which I had earlier on in my development or in my journey was I was trying to sell the product or trying to convince people. When you're just starting out as an entrepreneur, or obviously you have a new startup, don't take a second call, a second sales call. You meet somebody, you explain to them what they want, like what you have. If they're not buying it, don't try to convince them otherwise. They'll come later, and then maybe they've heard you. If you know how adoption curves work, maybe this person maybe they don't have a budget. Also, they don't trust you, especially if you're working with businesses. They don't trust you enough, right? So if you get their friend, and then the friend, they see the friend or other business or their competitors using your product, they'll take it. So don't take the next more than one sales call at the very beginning when you're starting. As much as you believe your product is good and going to solve these people's need, don't take the second. Just find the people who are already having the problem that you had when you solved it. Those people are going to be your biggest champions, and they're going to spread the word. Because I think when we started in Kenya, our biggest mark, we thought Kenyans will adopt our solution, right? Because we are Kenyan and we're good. And then we realized that most of our users are coming from China, right? Which is strange. Why are Chinese using an African product and the ones who are paying for it, right? So then we said, okay, since our biggest market is China and US, we're not going to focus on that because, again, we are African. So we're going to focus on the southern part of Africa. And because South Africa, they're already using these solutions. They're used to this dynamic. So what we did, we partnered with some farm in South Africa which is already selling legal tech products. And based on, because South Africans adopt quickly, they took our solution. And then based on the success that we had in South Africa, now Kenyans actually view us. They don't buy from us as one sum, they buy from our partner from South Africa. Which is interesting. Yeah, so again, most of these things, find first the people who are already having the problem, and then based on their experience, they can now help you expand to other markets.
That's very interesting. It raises me to the question of innovation. And now sometimes we talk about innovation being taking an existing product and just putting it to a new market. Necessarily, a story for another day. So in a wrap up, before we get to maybe questions, how do we make sure that these guys now, from your experience, how can you help them, advise them, make sure they are going to build products, but from the same point, limited process, limited time and everything?
So it's going to take longer than you think. And it's also going to take a lot more than you actually think and you actually know. Until you start, because I think that there are some issues that Sharola raised in the morning that, again, even like right now when you send your message to ChatGPT, right, and you get a response, you're not actually talking to the model, you're talking to a policy engine, which the policy engine now relays that to another engine before it even gets to the model and then gets back to you, right? So that one alone requires a lot of engineering and a lot of planning, and that requires talent, and talent is expensive, right? So the easiest way to get this is, again, get to people like Timothy, who have been there, done that, know people. They are going to help you they are going to help you avoid that headache, because you can't do it yourself. Especially now you can code, you can reach out to people, you can sell, you have a good idea, but then you just don't know what it means to scale a global company. And there's somebody who has already scaled that global company. Reach out to him. And you don't know, again, just how good people are. There are some people who are very good and they are very willing to help you, as long as you're not asking them for money. Take note, don't ask for money. Nobody's, McEwan says if you ask for money, you're going to end up with advice, right? If you ask for advice, you may end up with money. So reach out to, as a comrade with limited resources, maybe limited connections, and you want to change the world, find somebody who has already changed the world and help them, let them help you. If you try to change it yourself, 1 in a million you may be lucky, and I wish you all the best, right? But if you need to change it and also fast, please find Akina Timothy, talk to Akina Sharola. I haven't done it yet, so yes, so don't talk to me. But again, talk to the people who have done it, and I tell you, they'll help you. You never know the kind of resources and the doors they can open for you. So that's it for me.
A very interesting one, and because I know them, let me just ask another one. So we're talking about accessibility to people who have the resources. But some of these guys are waiting for Steve Jobs to resurrect and come and talk to them. Some of them are waiting for Elon Musk to come from USA to come and talk to them. How important is understanding the people around you in now building? Because I might be expecting maybe the ICT, the CS Kabogo to come and help me, yet I have just somebody like Timothy or Sharola one Falcon away. Is it a fact that these guys might be having potential people who can help them, but their heads are too much in the cloud.
Okay.
Number two, just to touch into that, how would you wish somebody to reach out to you? Because me, if somebody texts me in a certain way, I'll blue tick. And I'll not apologize. I'll just literally blue tick. Because now he can be having access to Timothy, but he doesn't know how to access Timothy. Yes, the access is there in terms of he can give you his phone contact, but you can send 500 texts and 10 years later nobody still replied. So how sure do you win the heart of men, of those who have also the resources that you need?
Just yesterday, I even found out that Botswana don't even have the rights to their own laws. The laws are actually owned by a company in Britain. And now we have to write to the company in Britain to give us access. Like she was saying, like you have to pay for those rights, right? And that's again, you said there are people who are, I know Warren, and I've seen Warren hang out with Sharola, so I'll reach out to Warren and ask Warren to talk to Sharola on my behalf. But then why would Warren talk to Sharola on my behalf? That's not. What is it that I'm offering Warren to talk to him? And again, the people most of the time they're the most difficult to give you those introductions. It's easier for a stranger to give you an introduction because these people, they don't know you much, they just know what you're telling them, right? So if I write an email to Elon Musk doesn't know me, right? He has no reputational risk whatsoever associating with me. All he has to see is the quality of my email and what I'm saying into the email for him to respond to me. So if you just text strangers, okay, first you have to know what you're telling them and the quality has to be there. The strangers are likely to give you introductions more than the people you know. Again, the people you know, some of them even don't want you to succeed more than them. Yeah. So but the stranger is like, I'm looking at, maybe I want to help you because I was once a young man, I tried and I failed. I was talking to Timothy about this. Or whatever you are developing, maybe I have a keen interest. Maybe I own an AI company and somebody texts me that they are doing an algorithm. I'll definitely respond to that. But if you text me about something else which does not concern me, I'll ignore it. But again, talk to strangers more, unless your circle is good. Talk to strangers more. There are so many people out there in the internet and they are all just waiting for somebody like you to just have. Yes.
The same question goes to Joe Karanja. This is a very young man, and most of these guys know you. How many of them come to you for help?
A number, but not a very high percentage. But how I can put it is, iron sharpens iron, and sometimes you might find yourself in a very big event, a very big one. You look at the icons there, everyone that you know of. If you think of cybersecurity, there's a name that comes in your head. If you think of M-Pesa, there's another name that comes in your head. But I just have a simple analogy. If from where you stand, you can mentor someone, right? You can be an inspiration to someone. But the difference is the levels. Right now you can mentor someone in Form 1. I'm sure most of you have been reached out by some students asking, I want to take a course in campus. Which one should it be? How many have got such questions? And you did help them, right? And then a Form 4 can help someone in Form 1. Someone out of campus can help someone in Form 4. But when we go to big events, sometimes we have fantasies. I want to speak to the CEO of Safaricom. I have nothing to offer in the meantime because at that stage, I think you don't need someone who is very high. You need someone to pull you one step higher. Step by step by step, you'll get somewhere. That's what is very practical to achieve. For example, how do we get to that point? We come to this event, for example, we have a lot of people. Maybe you are in business. Someone next to you is a stranger, yes, but they are too 2 steps ahead of you. For me, I think for the people who are very far, can help people who are also far but lower than them. But if you are at a point that you need help, the person 2 steps ahead of you is the most practical person that can help you, and it won't bother them. Just the same that it doesn't bother you helping someone choose a course or take a decision in high school, is the same way they won't bother. And once you get to that level, guess what? There's another 2 extra steps ahead. There is someone. It's normally step by step by step. Personally, when I go to events, I don't really look at the top people. I normally look at what I want. What do I want? I want to be better in development, maybe. Who is a very good developer, who is going to help me, who is just a level notch higher. And guess what? As a young person, 5 years down the line, those people are in a totally different arena. They are all somewhere at the top. I think that's what I can say from my part.
Interesting. The same question to Samuel, and I'll put it this way, just to make it even more interesting. You are one person who I find very busy. I struggle too much to connect to you, by the way. I'll call and surely you are planning for this, all these things. But now, what made you give me our 2 hours in the office? What made you give me some minutes? And can you give the same minutes to anybody?
Yeah, so first of all, I congratulate you. I think I saw the amazing work that Max was doing. And I also like Max because he's persistent. And that is one of the keys. I know most people say you need motivation, you need what? You just need persistence. Yeah? I always tell people even a drop of water can tear down this building, provided it takes enough time and enough years. It might take even 1,000 years, but eventually it will work. So for me personally, one of the things is I've been in your shoes, and I've been through that journey, and that's one of the things that made me even see that Niche can be part of Impact 360 and all the amazing work that they're doing, because also for us, that's the space we're in. And maybe just, I'll also answer the question by giving a bit of information through my journey. For me, I was never a very smart student in high school. I was courses, D plus kidogo narudi C. But I think for me, I just looked at myself and wondered, is my life going to be like this? Am I going to be just getting C's and I'm comfortable with it? So it literally took me 2 terms in my Form 4 second term is when I decided to start putting every working hour into making sure I get a slot in Strathmore. For me, that is where I really dreamt of going. And whenever I would tell people, wananiambia sasa wewe, unaona kwenye tuko was in a school huko mashamba, and we were just, and you could be in class and a cow enters in your class and it's normal, or a goat, or you come in the morning and you find a chicken on your desk, then it was just normal. So I stick to it, I kept all the working hours, and I think if you come to our lab, you notice one of the things that we've done is we take away phones. And I remember one time we were just standing with our young people in the balcony, and I told them, okay, you guys, we're having the same conversation. What can I do to make myself better? What can I do to make my product better? I asked them, okay, how much time do you spend working on your skills? So people are saying, oh, I don't have enough time. I wake up, I do this. So I told them, okay, let's bring out our phones. Let's open screen time. Screen time. I would challenge people. Actually, go and just look at your screen time. We were averaging 8 to 10 hours as young people. Unapata mtu amekaa TikTok 4 hours, YouTube 6 hours, I don't know, Instagram 2 hours. So at the end of the day, us as young people, actually we are the most distracted generation in this, I think, in the whole of history. We are so distracted because we are spending so much time. Yes, these short videos, some of them may say they carry a very powerful message, but you'll get even more powerful messages from things like podcasts, books, and the likes. So the number one aspect is time. And if I was just doing a simple calculation here, and I normally like doing math with people. We do have 365 days in a year. If you're spending an average of 6 hours, you're using 2,190 hours on social media alone. So out of the 2,090, that means for 91 full days, you're on social media. So imagine sasa huyu mtu mwenye anakesha. That means 91 days, 3 months. 3 months out of that year, you've spent purely on social media. That's 1 year. That's 6 hours a day. So imagine 8 hours, imagine 10 hours. So what if you could convert that time, maybe pair social media 2 hours, pair whatever skill it is you're working on another 4 hours. So let's say you're learning how to develop, maybe develop a payment system. So put in that 4 hours, or break down that 4 hours, spend 1 hour every day learning how to make that payment integration. Spend another 1 hour learning the latest languages. Spend another hour learning the latest AI tools that can be able to integrate. Segment that, and what you'll find, gradually you become one of the best in the industry. And it's very interesting because nowadays it only takes a very minimal effort to become among the best, because we're all running to easier solutions. We're all being very good in being distracted and not focusing our energy in the right space. The second thing that I'll talk about and I'll be a bit on is mentors. I know many people see mentors as people who are unreachable, but your mentor starts as close as you are. You know, sometimes we look so far. Unataka kuwa mentored na Elon Musk, unataka kuwa mentored na nani, but there's that professor in your university, one of your lecturers, who is very outstanding, who does amazing projects. And I love that Ujui. I remember we had one of our professors, and he was called Tundun. And this guy would just come in class, teach and go. But behind the scenes, this guy used to do very huge projects for the government, he used to do projects around healthcare. And he was actually one of the first people who created the software to help track malaria and malaria drugs in Kenya. And I remember very well because some of the people in our class who are very motivated to know, what does this person do? How is he so good? It's because he teaches, then he's not teaching, he's developing, and when he's not developing, he's busy trying to implement a new solution. So look at a mentor who is also at your level, even as we aspire to look for the bigger mentors, who is close to you, who can mentor you to get to the next level that you want to be. And lastly, the one that I'll talk about, for us young people, we don't like volunteering. I think volunteering is something that we've kept it very far away. So what I'd urge is volunteer. I'm sure if you approach any company that you desire here in Kenya, and you tell them you want to volunteer in a certain department, there's a very low likelihood that you will be told no. Am I wrong? Would you take someone to volunteer in your organization? Yeah, of course. And with that opportunity to volunteer, what you do is you need to show now your dedication in that space. I'll give a very brief story. I was involved in helping set up the KNCCI chapter for youth in Nairobi, and originally I used to come all the way from Nakuru, but I used to reach at the meeting by 6:30. And one of the days we didn't realize we had the president, the KNCCI chapter president, Richard Katia, in that setup. And what happened, he came and sat with us because we were among the first in that space. And from there, you know, most of our opportunities just went beyond the roof. We got opportunities that we not even implement. So that is what I would urge young people to do. Don't be afraid to volunteer. Approach that organization and give that letter. If they say no, go again and again and again until you persist, until they open the door for you. Thank you very much.
Hey. I'm glad that we have all those answers that we need, and maybe I'll just hand over this microphone to Kiongozi. Questions, I know that they're there, and we are going to take some good, wonderful time answering them.
Okay. What's your advice? How much time are they starting to learn from scratch? How much time are they likely to put in place so that they can become solution developers? Thank you. Okay.
Earlier on, I was joking on a concept. You'll find some people saying full stack software engineer / cybersecurity / cloud / DevOps / everything, and then the person is just like me, like 20, and you wonder how are you all that. So it depends on what you want to focus on. There are people who are data science experts, like data science. You would like to become a developer, systems developer. It might be web development. When you get to web development, there is front end and then there is back end. So you just can't dive into web development and decide I want to be a web developer. For me personally, I started with back end development. I didn't like designing stuff. That was not my thing. Mine was mostly architecture. So I started with back end development with a language, for example, like JavaScript. Learn the principles, not the cramming. You see, learning programming might be hectic if you try to cram code by code. Hash include. I'm sure everyone knows what that means. If you've tried programming, maybe from a learning perspective, but it starts with you choosing a domain. I want to focus on front end, and then narrowing down your skills to that. And then once you're good, it might take. Some people go to Moringa, take 6 months in that, but I think 3 concepts: your passion, your discipline, and your commitment. So you have to be passionate about it first. If you hate it, just don't try it. Have the passion, and then have the discipline to make sure you're consistent in doing it again and again, getting that skill straight. And then number 3, the commitment aspect. You have to commit yourself to actually making sure that your skill is good. And then for the principles, you see, laws in nature always tie down to everything. Like if it's programming, if it's syntax, if it's variables, Python has variables, every language has variables. If it's object-oriented development concepts, they cut across all languages. If you focus on the principles, it's easy for you to even dive into other concepts. It's hard to crack at first, but it's not impossible. That is for that. So once you've decided I want to be good in web and you started with front end, went to back end, you realize now you can do full stack on the web. If it's data science, there is the Python. You see, I am not an expert in all those fields. Mine mostly is engineering in terms of web development fully and mobile. And based on the time I've been practicing, also a bit of data science, but I'm learning into depth. That is AI. And you may wonder, how do you get better and better? It's by continuous learning. And something is pressing me, Max. I had some documentation that I wanted to display. You will send it to them, of some of the material that might be helpful for you even as you visualize how to bring it out. I know it's very hard for a developer to, you see, there's the idea, and there is bringing the idea to life. It's normally very hard. You want those users to add those items to that cart and download the same record tomorrow. You see, that's an idea. But coming to a point where you can build it, it's hard because you have to now you have to merge the idea to the concept to come up with a solution. And that's why divide and conquer is good. Start bit by bit, principles, cut them across, and you can always get better and better every day. So no one starts as a perfect person. It's an iteration, of course. You get better as you move. Yeah.